What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is the Blacklist Season 5, Episode 20? No, 19. Interesting. Episode 19, Ian Garvey Conclusion. Um, Another show just like Gotham, I was really excited to get back into, because, to be honest, like, when I think about the shows that I watch, most of the time I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think the CW shows, because those are the ones that, they're all superhero shows. They're all shows that I connect with, because I enjoy that stuff, even though some of them, namely Supergirl and Arrow, are not good, but I still enjoy watching superhero esque shows. It's whenever they delve into the non superhero stuff, I'm like, ugh. But, anyways, there's some shows, though, that kind of slip under the radar that I'm like, whenever I think about the shows that I really, really enjoy, The Blacklist is one of those that I don't often mention, but I love. Because it's so good, the writing is really good, the characters are enjoyable, the action and the drama of the situations are really well done. It's not really anything that I'm normally used to being interested in. There's not really a whole lot of mystery most of the time. There's not a whole lot of action. A lot of it is just around, you know, kind of characters and more like not really mafia, but more like a political type drama, like hidden secrets and all of this. I don't know. I don't often grasp onto it, but something about the Blacklist really grasped my attention from the very beginning, and I've loved it every step of the way. So yeah, getting back into it though, honestly, I had forgotten so much. Like when it first started off, and I watched like the recap, and I saw the girl. She's like, "I'm Raymond Reddington's daughter." I'm like, "Wait, when did I forget about this?" So I had to like go back and like, okay, so what happened? I've forgotten now. But yeah, so this one, it's Ian Garvey, the conclusion. So it's the conclusion of his story, and it's exactly what I'd want. You finally get a showdown between Ian Garvey and Reddington. You get to see the moments where Reddington makes his plans, but also Ian Garvey is not just another blacklister. He is a step above, and so he does have his moment as well to kind of one up Reddington at certain points. Even just all the little touches in this episode. Like I remember watching whenever he goes back to Frank Sinclair, the alibi. I've forgotten he was a character, but then I start talking about him like, oh yeah, he's the guy that made somebody be somebody else and gave them an alibi. And so he's talking to him, and I'm sitting there thinking, I feel like I see how this is gonna play out. They're gonna go to the meeting. There's gonna be a moment where maybe Reddington gets shot, and they're like, "Oh God, no, he's dead!" And all of a sudden he's gonna show up later, something along those lines. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, I wish they hadn't shown us this because I would be so much more interested to see how it all plays out, and then get a recap of like, oh yeah, I went to the alibi and I got him to make a fake me and all this stuff. And so I'm just sitting there watching everything in the meeting play out, and I'm just like, okay, so let's see what's gonna happen here. And all of a sudden, Garvey turns and shoots Mossadegh. And I was like, what? I did not see. And then all of a sudden, Garvey gets in the car and starts driving away, and so are Dembe and Reddington. I'm like, huh, what? And all of a sudden, you hear Sinclair and Garvey's here. Hurry, son, get out of there. I'm like, oh my God, they doubled him. Like, it's just such a great setup because you see them making like the mold and stuff, and what's great about it is that I mean Reddington's not bald, but he doesn't have a whole lot of hair, and Garvey is bald. So when you see them making the bald cap, like you don't automatically think, oh yeah, he's gonna double Garvey. It still seems like it could be Reddington, and so it just perfectly sets up to where when the switch happens and you realize, oh, he doubled Garvey, the alibi doubled Garvey, and now Garvey is wanted by everyone. He's wanted by the FBI for killing Mossadegh. He's wanted by the people that Mossadegh worked or owned. He's wanted by their entire corporation. I don't know. It was just perfectly set up. A really, really great plot twist in my opinion, and that's one of the things that this show does very, very well. Is it throws in some very clever plot twists where you just think one thing is happening, and all of a sudden, oh nope, flip the script on you. Something else is happening instead. And that's one of the things I love about the show is that they do it very well. And even when I'm expecting to get plot twisted, they twist it another way that I wasn't expecting. So, but yeah, really, really enjoyed that aspect of it. One little thing that made me kind of laugh, because like Dembe and the other driver for most of that get up out of the car, walk to each other, they both check each other. All I'm thinking is, I wonder if they have a union or like a little get together, like all the drivers for these evil people. Do they just all get together like, oh yeah, so what'd your guy do today? Oh, he had me go out and he had me set up a meeting, and then we drove, and I had to go in and order him some stuff. Oh, don't you hate whenever you have to order them food? It's like, what are we, slaves? I don't know. I thought it would be hilarious to see just a little skit of that, like all of the drivers of evil guys get together. I need to write that. I'm gonna write that. Anyways, but really just all of the build up to seeing Garvey, find her name's Jennifer. We found that out this episode. Actually, we might have found it out last episode, but I just didn't remember. But we get to the bar where she works at. Garvey shows up. Elizabeth shows up right after him, and then of course Reddington shows up as well. And just this entire scene, you knew something bad was going to happen, but you don't know what. And I think that's what this show does very well, is that there are so many scenes where it seems so tense, like it feels like anybody could die, but you don't ever know who. Even obviously they're probably not going to kill off Elizabeth or Red, since there's a whole nother season, but you never really are sure what's going to happen. They still manage to keep that tension even with the knowledge of, well, obviously these two aren't going to die, but the daughter, Jennifer, she could still die. Garvey could die before he tells Elizabeth what she needs to know. So I love how they build the tension in these scenes and really keep you on the edge of your seat wondering what's going to happen next. So whenever you see Garvey reaching for his gun, it's like, oh, is he going to shoot somebody? Is he going to die now? Like, what's going to happen? So I really, really, I love everything they do in the show. They do it so well. Now, as far as what's going to happen next, still not really sure. We see Garvey, of course, he's shot. He's being taken into the emergency room. And it does seem like maybe he was able to whisper something to Elizabeth. Couldn't really tell by the look on her face whether or not he did give her the information she needs. But they are kind of setting it up like it's going to be kind of a showdown between her and Red to try to get this bag, whatever it means, to Reddington. Still have no idea what it is. But it's intriguing. And I think I actually watched the review of the last two episodes that I did because I was kind of like, what was I thinking on this? What was going on with the show at the time? And there was a point where I talked about how I was very ready to see what's inside the bag, and I am. And I even mentioned, like, oh, it's taking way too long. I will say it's stretched on for a long time. I think now, because we are finally getting to the end of the season and we're getting to where we need to be, I do feel more and more like, okay, now it's getting exciting. Even though we still don't know what's in the duffel bag, even though we still don't know what's going on here, it's exciting because we're building up to what's going to happen. It's finally the moment where it's like, okay, we're right on the verge of it. Whereas most of the season, it just seems like, oh, even Ian Garvey has the duffel bag. He has the bones. And we're not really doing anything about it. We're just trying to build up to that moment. So I do feel like things are coming to the wire, though. I'm very excited to see what's going to happen. I really don't have any theories. I don't. Like, it seems like whatever's in this duffel bag is going to change the view of who Raymond Reddington is, but I cannot imagine, unless these bones are Raymond Reddington and somehow this guy is not actually I don't know. No clue whatsoever who the bones could belong to. Don't know what it means. It seems like it would be too simple to say, oh, it's Liz's mom. Like, I don't know. I'm curious. I want to know. So, with that being said, I think I'm about ready for the next episode, so I will see you guys there in just a second. And now, episode 20, Nicholas T. Moore. Overall, this was a good episode. I enjoyed it. I think one of the things that made me kind of sit here and go, okay, can we get on with this, is because what's going on with the bag? It's just a weird, I don't know, like, it seemed like a little bit of a diversion. It seemed like let's talk about this real quick while he tries to figure out more information about the bag and where it could possibly be. And I don't know, I just want to know where it is now. This is kind of what I was talking about in the last one, where I'm like, I know I was saying, I wish we could find out what's in the bag. I wish we could just get to it, because it feels like it's been a lot of build up and we're still not there yet. These are the episodes I was talking about, where it's like not much is really moving forward with getting the bag. It's all about finding out how to get to the bag, and then we'll get there later. And the last episode, it felt like we were finally, all right, time to go get the bag. But it's like Garvey died, And so it's like, well, now we need to find out more information about where it could possibly be. So, Smokey, go do your thing and find out where it could possibly be. I'm just like, okay, well, we're back to what I was talking about earlier. Why I just want it to move. I want it to go. I want. So yeah, that was kind of underlying at the base of this episode, but it was still good. I still enjoyed it. I think it was an interesting story. This cult pretty much that follows this guy who wrote a book. I wish we could have dealt a little bit more into why, I guess, because it seems weird that he would just write this whole book. I guess I think he really truly believed it, and that's why he wrote a book on it. I suppose, like, he wrote a book and it was this fictional tale, but in his mind he believed this is what would happen, and then he got a bunch of people to join him, I guess, and then they just had this society, this little cult society living in the woods forever, believing we got to stay uninfected. But yeah, it was an interesting concept, but ultimately didn't really do much to further the story. Like, I kind of figured, honestly, because Liz was talking to the team, and she was saying, oh, Red didn't want me to see this. He put his foot over it. And I'm like, okay, so clearly he did this to get her off of his trail so he could do some research of his own. And that's exactly what they find out at the end. She gets on his plane, and he's just like, yeah, that's exactly, best laid plans. So, a little frustrated that nothing really happened as far as the case is concerned, but there were still really good moments. First of all, with Liz, there are times when I forget that she is a kind of a psychologist. She joined the FBI because she was supposed to be kind of a behavioral analysis type of person. So there are episodes where she does get to show that off, and this was one of them. And I always enjoy when they do that because it calls back to why she joined the FBI in the first place. She sees this girl, she uses some of her psychoanalysis to kind of figure out what she should say to kind of convince this girl, hey, I'm trying to help you here, when the girl fully believes that she's one of the infected. So I loved getting to see that. I also love the parallels that they pulled. It was very subtle, but I really liked, because a lot of this episode for Reddington was focused on, he tries to get in contact with Jennifer to find out where her mother Naomi is, and she pretty much blows him off the first time, but then she calls him and says, hey, you answer my questions honestly, I'll tell you where my mother is. And so through this we find out apparently he abandoned them because he was framed by this cabal that he was trying to take down, and then the CIA and KGB wanted him. And yeah, it makes sense. It makes logical sense in his mind that, oh, I'll just leave this family, that way they'll come after me and leave them alone. But what he didn't realize is that the people still didn't leave them alone. Even, obviously, Jennifer ended up in Witsec, but her mother was shot, apparently, trying to live just another life. Her new husband is the one that told Jennifer about this. She was killed by one of Reddington's enemies, and before that she was actually kidnapped and had one of her fingers cut off because of it. So it's kind of like Reddington gets to see the consequence of his actions. He thought he was abandoning them for their good, but turns out it didn't do anything, and he has to live with those consequences. And it was a very well done story as far as that's concerned. I mean, the effectiveness you could clearly see it on Reddington's face. Like, he realized, crap, I didn't do anything. I thought I was, but clearly I wasn't doing anything, even though I thought I was. So I liked that, but then also getting to see the parallels with what was going on with Liz and her story, and that is, the fact that this father tries to get his daughter out of the society. He wants what's best for her. And so he tries to get her out of the society and ends up losing his life because of it. And it was a very subtle little nod, but whenever Liz is showing the hospital to the girl and her mother, and pretty much, the mother says, her father sacrificed everything. Or Liz says to the mother, her father sacrificed everything so she could get the help she needs. And her mother says she's all he ever cared for. Like, it's very subtle, but the parallels between that compared to what Reddington did trying to protect his family, leaving them behind instead of giving up himself to protect them, very subtle, but I love the parallels, and I love getting to see that. It's something that I think some people might miss, that they're trying to draw that parallel. Because ultimately, what other point would that story have other than just it's there as a distraction? So I don't know if that's what they were going for. That's what I saw that they were going for, and I think if that's the case, very, very clever. But also, of course, this leads to what I assume is going to take up the majority of next episode, and that is Samara getting kidnapped by this guy, which I'm a little disappointed in her for getting beat up by this little chubby white bald guy. I mean, he might actually end up being somebody worth being intimidated by, but he didn't look intimidating whenever he took the girl. And it just seemed like Samara kind of got duped. And I was a little disappointed by that because she's not stupid. But she did get taken, and then the guy's like, don't worry, I'll deal with her. By the end of the episode, you see she, hands tied in the back of his truck, and they have no idea who this guy is, what his van is. They can't track him at all. And so that's kind of, I assume, is going to be what next episode is about, is getting Samar back. While Reddington is, of course, trying to find out what's going on with Costa Rica and the bag of bones and what exactly is happening there. And I hope they continue that story, because I need to know. I really need to know. But yeah, overall, still enjoyed this episode. Looking forward to seeing how the season's going to end. But that's it for these two. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts? Let me know. We can talk about, discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Blacklist reviews. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.